So let me tell you about the circle church. You do with it what you will. This is how things are going. And also, short. The letter from Pope Francis to Obama. It's very important because that's a key to it. The Circle Church is a synopsis of what's really running things. Write this down just so you can do research on your own. Circle, C-S-E-R-C-O. Yeah, all large letters. It's an acronym. How many brothers and sisters are familiar with Circle?
You familiar with Circle, John Rock?
Whoever heard of Circle? S-E-R-C-O. It's the world's largest corporation that nobody knows about. All right, like when people get Social Security, Circle. When they,
S-E-R.
When they choose planes that they want to crash, that somebody's doing it, that they don't like. If you're going to try to solve something, just like when Ron Brown, right? And he wanted to solve some problems, and they crashed his plane. The plane was just taking over Circle.
I heard they shot him in the head first.
Oh, yeah. That was because after he crashed, he wasn't dead.
Okay, he shot him in the head after.
Also, now, this file that I'm sharing with you all, these are the things that's on that file, which includes Black's Law 1 to 7. That'll keep you busy. You know, let's, because I don't want to take up a lot of time, but I do want to share a lot with you. Knowing that you're going to have to do this stuff in your own time in the future, I'm going to tell you honestly a couple of things. Number one is for people who really want liberation, not people who talk liberation. All right? People who really are interested in helping their people, not building their ego. It'll give you keys to other research. All right? This is more than enough stuff to keep you busy for over 10, 15 years. Some of it, although I'll say this too, it's nothing complicated. It's all basic stuff, but a lot of it is hidden from our people. People will talk around it, rarely in it. So I'm going to say this to you immediately before we go any further. Law and history goes together. And when you're bringing these children together, bringing our people together, or we're talking about our different leaders and our history like this, etc. If you want to take it from the image into operations, you're going to have to connect law and history. If you're not willing to do that, keep playing games, and the world will move around us like it always has been doing anyway. But if we want to catch up with our forefathers and start removing colonial operations, you're going to have to know how they operate. Racism and prejudice is a BS argument designed by sociologists to keep us busy off of what's really going on, which is unum sanctum policy and the doctrine of discovery. You argue off of that, you're incompetent. I know that most people won't go there, but however, in military, in private, in privy councils, in engineering, when world government leaders get together in their private conversations, that's what they talk about because that's what's happening. When they get out into the world and communities to keep the cattle calm, they start talking, people have different colors and racism. That's for children. That's a mental midgetry argument. Many of our people get insulted when you say that, but that's why our condition is the way it is, because that's exactly what it is. It's designed. It's not curative. All right, so I'll tell you that. Now, Black's Law Dictionary, so that you should invest in hardcover. However, for reference and for those who don't have, a couple $1,000 to invest in it, you got the Black's Law Dictionary, it's digital. All right? Consular Court, restoration, that's the second one. No, you don't have to, okay. But we're gonna go into, now the Great Seal Works, that's history, that's synopsis history, that's some of the real history here, American history. And basically that's a short synopsis of compilation of work of the Great Seal registered in the Library of Congress, CMB, but basically you're only supposed to have that if you have certificates for it. But I am the Emir of the Great Seal, and I've been sharing it with people, to a lot of people's anger, don't like me doing this, because it's a liberation issue. So I'm just telling you what it is. Etc. The rally documents, that's the thing I did in Philly in 2011 to stop them from selling a lot of people's houses. Just because I know a little bit, I know what's really going on. So I'm just telling you some of those things. But basically, that's what that is. But what we're going to do, we're going to deal with the, see those cancer cures? Yeah. Share them. Crown owns U.S. Hit that. But take that file and drop it on your top.
Yeah, I did already.
All right, so you can give me my thing back then.
Absolutely.
And but you know, you got that. And share that with anybody in the house that wants it.
Thank you.
And a lot of people have pieces of this information, and they've been putting pieces together and selling packages. If you get the point over the years. And it'll liberate you from opportunists like that too. Because what we really need to do with our people and our children, but mainly with the adults, because you can't help the children if you can't help the adults, is really educate them. People keep saying that, but they don't really do that. So let's talk about the crown. Open up the crown. And what it will also do as you study, it will probably awaken you to some things where you may adjust certain things that you do yourself. Are we clear?
All right. All right.
Yeah, all of that, yeah.
Might look different. All right, guys.
Thank you.
Give me just a minute. I'm download something.
Is that your piece?
Yeah, but this is not working right.
Okay, that's on the complication covering out. I was gonna call your son, huh?
No, what happened was, on this Chromebook, because this is a little book,
Right.
not enough memory.
I
to
see.
hold on.
I see.
Other companies.
Right.
If it doesn't open up, I'll just give you a synopsis, and you all, in your spare time, share it. Do what you have to do, you know, to fix the opening.
Yeah.
Let's make one thing clear from the beginning, because most of our people aren't aware that the United States is a private corporation, it's not a country.
Right.
Are we clear? North America is the heartland of the Moroccan Empire. Are we clear?
Mm-hmm.
The cherry tree that George Washington chopped down is your flag. Are we clear?
Yeah.
You got multiple tribal flags too of the territories. Are we clear?
Yeah.
We're not Indians, we're Moors, but they call us Indians.
Yes.
Some of us are Cherokee, what they call Cherokee or Anayambuya. Cherokee is made up. Choctaw simply means chocolate people. All right, black people's a fake. It means Dutch master property. And anybody claiming to be black, they're claiming to be Christian property. Has nothing to do with identity. Has nothing to do with Afrocentricity. Has nothing to do with your bloodline. Period. It identifies Christian property distinguished from other African nationals. As an example, I meet you on a political forum, and you're Nigerian, then you have certain international law rights, and I expect you to act according to your constitution and customs. You have a brother that came from the same mother, and he's sitting there and he said he's a person of color. He has no rights whatsoever. He shouldn't expect them either. Are we clear? But they do have Christian black codes that they will treat him with, so that he doesn't start arguing those issues. They'll say that they're just being racist. So that dismisses him and his argument. Then they'll deal with you on one level, but they'll always deal with him with the Christian black codes. He can be mad, he can march, he can pray, he can do any damn thing he wants to. And the problem that is they made a whole culture out of that when it's really the Christian black codes. If he wants to be black, he gets the codes. Because every man, woman, and child on Earth planet has an obligation to honor their mothers and fathers. They have nationalities. But because our people, after European training, have adopted the brand system and fallen in love with it, they keep justifying it. They keep justifying it, not knowing that there's a consequence. They just think you can claim to do whatever you want to and the world's going to accept you. It does not occur that way. Never did, and it won't. If you want to understand that argument, go to the Dred Scott case of 1857.
No way, white man.
You got that right, because black and white are statuses. They are not complexions. And one of the hardest things to get across to our people is that fact, because they just don't want to understand it. It's a political fact. If you're Nigerian and you come to, say, Russia, and I look at your passport, it's going to have white man on it. It'll have your nationality, but it'll have white man. You tell that to these people right here in North America, and they say, oh, you don't want to be black like us. And then now they're mad at you. And they start looking at your skin and all that. They don't know that they're trained like rats. They think that's civilization. You know what I mean? And everything they think, see that red thing there? It really means black. And see those brown curtains? What it really means is blackness of the universe. And that's trained language. They think that really is Afrocentricity. They don't know they're under mind control. Now, problem is that their leaders do. All the leaders are 32, 33-degree Masons. Got a Moorish fez in secret. Their lodge has a Moorish name. They're dressed in jewels with a feminine name of their lodge with the tassel pinned down, and they take oaths to Rome not to reveal the secrets that these people are Moors. While they get comfortable jobs, Negro marching jobs and all this kind of stuff, keep their people busy, and they get kickbacks, keeping the sheeple busy while everybody around the world comes in their community and rapes them. And then they train them to pray real good, better than we can pray better, and they get satisfied with it. Then you train a couple generations, it game's up. That's what's wrong with our community. It's not complex. Ain't no devil did nothing to us. We did it to our damn selves. But we're too arrogant to admit that we're wrong. And so we keep sacrificing generations. Now yourself, myself, yourself, brother right here, you know and I know. 4 generations ago, if you called our people black, you had a fight. Now you don't call them black, they think you're a traitor. It's the truth. They don't know.
It gives a whole new meaning to that James Brown song, I'm black and I'm proud.
Exactly. But you will fix that. But let me tell you real quick about the crowns. And this in particular is good for you too, sis. You go to most of our communities, they'll have different books on black this, black that, and not one dictionary in the library. Not one. Not one. No etymology dictionaries, no lexicons, and they train the children to make things mean what they want it to mean. And in the real world, it not only doesn't work, they're actually handicapped. You know what I mean? And the people, rather than start actually educating the children, they'll complain about their lack of education, wasting breath, wasting time, when that time they spend complaining about a lack of education, they should be educating the children. All right, anybody, you got a dictionary here?
What about the Oxford? We like to talk about Oxford.
That's one of your dictionaries.
Yeah, I know, we talk about many.
Yeah. Etymology dictionary on English language, American Heritage Dictionary with the etymology in the back. These are primal. Oxford Dictionary, 1960 earlier. Get away from the training of going to your phone for dictionary. Not that you don't use that, but they're training the children to do that, but they're going to shut that down, and they're usually connotative entries. Scholars do not do that. Scholars go to hardcover books in a library on the shelf in their house. Understand that training is not our culture. That training is European sociology. Abbreviation is also European sociology. Scholars don't abbreviate. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? So I'm just giving you snippets. So this is the issue of the crown. The masses of our people are sitting around talking about complaining, marching all over the daggone place, trying to be 14th Amendment citizens, blah, blah, blah. The whole game. I know what it is. You know what it is. Cut through the chase. The United States Service Corporation was registered in France 1750 by Benjamin Franklin. That was promised the service contracts to do business at Morocco in the West, which is referred to as the Maghreb. Maghreb is Morocco, the most extreme West. To people who don't know geography, they think it's only prayer time. It is Morocco, the most extreme West. Every secret society, every Shriner, every Knights Templar, every Kaiklos, Ku Klux Klan, Thule Society, DAR, White Camellia, refer to themselves collectively as the keepers of the North Gate. The North Gate is North America. Heartland of the Moroccan Empire that fell to Rome. Spanish Inquisition never ended. Never ended. The politics of the world is to cover that up for the heirs of the world's largest estate. That's the source of our poverty. Are we clear? Keep us busy and going in circles so that we don't ever figure that out. 2, to keep us mentally disconnected from the land. We always came from somewhere else in somebody else's sardine ship. That's the training. That's the training. It's a falsehood, it's a lie. All right? That is the politics of North America. This is why when you see other Asiatics, and understand Africa is Asia too. So when you see other Asiatics come here, this is why you see other Africans, they'll do business with us, but you don't see us them moving in our community. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And we always trying to image them, like they're our brothers, but you don't see any communications other than, I like that, like what you got on, but you don't see them sitting around having conversations with us. Persons who are tagged black are outcasts. That's the truth. And when you go into the world, you go off these shores, and you go out in that world and calling yourself black. It's like wearing a neon sign saying traitor. And our people think it means African identity. They don't argue with us because we fight very well. And we have strange attitudes. And a strange attitude, no, we do. Like we're nice to each other today, tomorrow we're shooting at each other. You know what I mean? We friends today, step on your shoes and you want to kill me and all that kind of stuff. People know that we do that. And so no one trusts a lot of people. No one likes them either. But if Rome wants to win a war, he goes in certain neighborhoods, he fires certain people, because he traces them through their birth certificates, marriage certificates, and social securities. And they watch them, they have a job 3 months, and then they send them to somebody else's country to kill other men and women that never did a damn thing to them in the name of Christian God and country against their own people. Then they come back here and do Negro marches because they don't get nigger badges and wonder why the world of our own people don't trust us. Because we're hypocrites, we're liars, we're always talking about Jesus, God, Allah, Moses, Muhammad. We hate each other. And so anybody that hates their own pedigree and bloodline definitely cannot be trusted by another national. Because the rest of the civilized world honor their mothers and fathers. You'll never see a Chinese talking about he's a light-skinned yellow guy. Never. Only people who do that are the traders. How do you know the traders? They call themselves persons of color. They don't know, going to law dictionary, that means artificial person. A semblance. Simulacrum, distinguished from that which is real. And they wonder why the world rejects us. And just like me coming in your house saying, I'm a trader and I'm artificial, and then I wonder why you don't respect me.
Right.
And they'll say, they're doing an assessment on our people, and from childhood to adulthood, the average reading level is 4th grade. You give them a book and they act like you're trying to change their religion. And get mad at you too. And it's true. Meanwhile, they go out into the civilized world with that dead culture, try to impose it on the world, get rejected, then they'll raise money to march to complain about being rejected. Rather than recognize that we're out of order. Rather than recognize that we're out of order. And then all the dead culture that we've adopted from the Romans, we use that as education to compete against the fact that we're miseducated, which is a contradiction. But anyway, let's cut to the chase. A synopsis of history. These are points that you can do research on. You all know that George Washington was not the first president for the United States Corporation. He was the 9th. They covered up because 2 administrations before, which is the Arthur St. Clair administration, is when the Treaty of Peace and Friendship between the Moroccan Empire and Great Britain, i.e. United States Subdivisional Corporation Operations, was finalized, called the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. This is what Obama was talking about when he went to Egypt. He went to Egypt because Egypt is really, he took the capital dominion of the Moroccan Empire. Morocco's on both sides of the water. All right, now, key. Michelle went to the Alhambra because the Alhambra, the fall of the Red House, this is why they talk in masonry, the Red House, Blue House, and all that kind of stuff. Because that's the key of the transfer, access of the powers of the Muslim world into the hands of the German Dutch tribes, i.e. presenting themselves as Christians. All right? So you're talking about the Muslim Christian world. You're talking politics. You're not talking about beliefs, prayer. That's for the masses to keep them busy. And we're talking about that the people are being subjugated on both sides by their leaders. Are we clear? Now, to give you a synopsis, let's run up in history real quick. And you can record this if you want to and cross-reference it. Abraham Lincoln, being a member of the bar, British registry, could not hold office under the United States because the Constitution for the United States is derived from Muslim law. Fatwa a member of the bar could not hold office in the United States because this is an agreement between the Muslims and the Christians to stop the hundreds of years of wars between us and Christendom. That's really what the United States is. It's a political agreement. It is a political metaphor. It itself is not a country. Country is Morocco. All right? When you see, this is why you see that, now pull up on your phone, say, good, yeah. Now pull up on your phone, Barack Obama and the Moorish flag. He's telling you the history because he know that most of your leaders are really COINTELPRO. They're skull and bone payoffs. This is part of the stuff that Malcolm found out that made him uncomfortable. Yeah. For instance, when he made the Hajj, he went over a couple times, but when Malik made the Hajj and he went over that white and black stuff, and that French blue-eyed Muslim said to him, brother, don't come over here with that stuff. Think that because you made the Hajj that you came home. Brother, you left home. Absolutely. Rude awakening. Anyway, this is a synopsis of the real politics. All right, you all. Keep this in mind. This is not a real play. This is the real politics. So you got to read between, and you got to compare what you think you know. When you understand this, let me just say this to you. Donald Trump is a Knights Templar. So you got to know the history of the Templars and the Pope and the conflict that's with them to understand some of the politics today. So don't get caught in this old stuff. Everybody running around to lunch. Trump's out to lunch. And he ain't getting no black, you know, don't even waste your time with those kind of arguments. Don't waste your time. That's a narrative prepared for the stupid masses, and I'm not putting them down. If you all want to change the conditions of your people, you got to stop following the party line. There are two crowns that come to mind when the natural people of the land. You need to know the difference between natural people and just the word person. Person means corporation. All right, just cut that. Let's get that out the way. Take into consideration that their forced peonage, that's this peonage that our people are suffering, suffered under the intersocial affairs invoked by colonialism. The most poignant issues involve the social, economic, and political problems that have and do now plague and hinder the human family in these days. Many of the torts, wars, and social, economic, and political abuses and suppressions of note are presently the norm among Aboriginal peoples suffering the negative and injurious effects of European colonization in the Western Hemisphere and across the planet. One of the crowns of concern has been the Queen of England and the arbitrary practices related to the Pope of Rome, the Inquisition, and this is very important, don't forget this is the real politics of the world, unum sanctum, write that down. If you start arguing a whole bunch of other stuff, they already know that you're under mind control. If you're funding organizations that's sitting around talking about racism instead of unum sanctum, and they're talking about solving problems in their so-called communities, you know that's an operative. A scholar knows that that's an operative. Right. Followers don't, because they don't read. You know, you get the point? So let's cut through the chase. If you want to solve problems, you got to deal with what things are. Now, church bull policy enforcements, etc. The other crown, less discussed, and this is, you're going deeper in the rabbit hole, is the Crown Temple and its past and present membership and operations. Truth needs no apology. The feudal law, governmental, and judicial systems operating within the jurisdiction of the United States of America, which are artificial person, you see that? Artificial person abstracts and private corporate entities. So our people need to know law because they need to know what they're dealing with every day. Get familiar with these terms. I know most of you all are because you're all scholars. But most of the people that they're claiming to help, like there's youth and stuff like that, and they want to help the youth, and we care about. If you don't teach them what's really going on, leave them alone.
Mm-hmm.
Please. Please. Functioning at both the federal and at the local state levels. These corporate ens legis entity constructs having British Crown colony origins are now owned by the Crown, which is a private and foreign power. Before jumping to conclusions about the Queen of England or about the royal families of Britain owning the U.S. corporate entity, know that this is a different crown. But understand they still work together now. And this order is fully exposed and explained below. We are specifically referencing the established Templar Church, known for centuries by the world as the Crown. So you need to know that the church is the Crown too. You see? Mm-hmm. And understand, in your poor communities where you can't walk 4 blocks this way without finding a church, can't walk 4 blocks that way without finding a church, can't walk 4 blocks that way without finding a church, you can't walk 4 blocks that way without finding a church. These people think it has to do with Jesus. They are military outposts. They are. Yes. They're mercenary military outposts, guarded by a Roman soldier called a priest, member of the bishopric and of the Roman Curia. Write that down, Roman Curia. All of them are Roman Curia members. All corporate heads are Roman Curia members. Whether they are at McDonald's, Wendy's, Sears, they're all Crown members. Don't you, not knowing it is dangerous. Are we clear? Forget what they look like or what hats they wear. That's why this stuff is safe, because they're in your face. Anyway, so before jumping to conclusions about the Queen of England or about the royal families of Britain owning the U.S. corporate entity, know that this is a different crown, and this order, and you can emphasize order, is fully exposed and explained below. So we're talking about that crown. So from this point on, we will also refer to the crown as the Crown Temple or Crown Templar, and that when one hears about or references any of these forms, it's known that all 3 are synonymous. Are we clear? Now, a Templar is a member of the Niceno-Constantinopolitan Creed religious and military order that is also called Knights Templar, Knights of the Temple, poor soldiers of the Temple. The order was founded around 1118 and organized on the land at Jerusalem and an ancient city at Canaan. Canaan is also known as Palestine. Now you understand why they changed the maps? Yes. They did the fake Israel thing. Yes. All this to cover up history. But when you think it has nothing to do with you, you're already making a mistake. Correct. All right? Anyway. Yeah. So the order was founded around 1118, organized on the land at Jerusalem. Now notice the wording too. Not in Jerusalem, at Jerusalem. All right? An ancient city at Canaan. Now, Canaan is also known as Palestine. The area of Jerusalem of Palestine has since 1948 been politically designated as part of the contemporary body politic and political state now called Israel. That's a short, so that you can get rid of the mystery system. And now you know why the BS is in what they call Middle East. That's a fakery too. Because there ain't no East, and there ain't no West, and there ain't no damn Middle East. All right? Now, this is what we need to understand. So first, we will take note and account of a little historical background. The Temple Church was built by the Knights Templar in 2 parts, the round, etc. And I'm not even going to waste my time going into that. Let's go into the attorneys. All licensed bar attorneys are really attorneys. Get that clear. All licensed bar attorneys are really attorneys who are doing business and operating at North America. Are we clear? And under the United States jurisdiction, these attorneys owe their allegiance to, give their solemn oaths, and pledge to the Crown Templar. Their fidelity to the Crown is the established fact and stands as the binding rule, whether the bar member admits to it or not, because you know Masons will not admit they got oaths. So I'm not going to read all that, but I want you all to go into that. Now go into this next thing. You see where you say United States? You see that uppercase and then lowercase?
Yes.
None of these are accidental. Everybody and the children, you got to start teaching them what this means when they see capitalized and when they see small case. You're not talking about, you're talking about associations, but you're not talking about the same entity.
Right.
Because they train the children that that's the country. That's the corporate operations that has been built, collapsed, built, collapsed, built, collapsed, that's occupying Morocco. The financial system operating under the United States Corporation, and particularly since 1861, is predicated on the descendants of the Moors who were branded Negro, blacks, and colors. And the commercial mercenary war, write that down, commercial mercenary war, which is presented to the masses under mind control as the Civil War. There was no Civil War. That's commercial mercenary war at Morocco. And they'll also call it American Indian War, and stuff like, which is also a fraud. That's like saying the American War, although Indian ain't American, but that's implied. If you get the point. No, that's the British or European American War. You understand?
They say another type of war. I'm trying to put my finger on. What's the other war they call it? The No, it's another war. It's different wars they worded bad, but it's an ongoing war. I forgot the name of it.
All of the wars are the Spanish Inquisition.
Okay.
The Spanish Inquisition is the punitive war.
Punitive?
If you want, no, this is the wars. This is your wars.
Okay.
Punitive wars. Now we can go deeper than that, but most people have no reference. Our issue and our argument is to reconnect our people of the North Gate to both themselves, their land, their estate, and the true politics, so that they can purge all of the bull that they've been taught for generations. Without that, there's no need to tell them anything else, because they're going to be sacrificed. So what I try not to do is scatter them too much.
The Gullian Wars.
It's the punitive war. The Crusades. Battle of Tours near Peltier, France, 711. The major defeat of the Moorish armies. These are residuals of Hannibal Barca Bey and Hannibal Bey, whose military systems are used even to this day, and set the patterns basically for world's governments and militaries even today. But the key to the Roman operations is to have these Moors in the north not know that they have any connection to any of that. They don't want them to know that they are the direct descendants.
So
because they serve Rome now.
So the Gullian Wars is a misnomer?
Say it again?
The Gullian, I think they pronounce it the Gullian.
Which one?
G-U, the Gullian.
The Gullian.
What they call it?
Yeah. What you talking about the Gullian Wars?
Yeah.
With the Aboriginal people who were here, they obviously have that land. I want to say it's off of one of the shores of Louisiana. But
yeah.
See, but this is what must be understood by the people, that the wars in the north and in South Asia, they're told is Africa or Tamari now. That's South Asia. are connected. They're not. They never were separated.
Okay.
The idea that the wars that we've had here, just like Allah's Moor, Allah Moor, they'll say the Alamo.
Yeah.
It's Allah's Moors.
Right.
Everybody in the rest of the world knows that, except the Moors here.
Right.
Because they think human beings are crayons. Well, was they green people? You know, and that's how they talk. But that's they don't know they're trained like rats. And then they're sensitive. You know, so it's hard to tell them the truth. They want the truth, but they really don't. They want to be Christians. It's true. You know, so they're going to be sacrificed, because after Christians use them, they're going to kill them. If we don't clean it up, or who we don't pull, Rome's going to kill anyway. But because they're accelerating the estates now, people who really love their people will stop playing with them. Just tell them the truth. It's hard. They're going to have to shed this stuff if they want to survive. They're worried about a job. They ain't getting no jobs. They're getting ready to get death. You know, but the deal of it is that people who know it, and some people who got comfortable, are just willing to sacrifice them. You know, because they think just things is getting a little bit crazy, and it'll run for a year or two, and then everything will be back like it was. No, they're going to solve this nigger problem once and for all. It's Executive Order 11490. Silent weapons for quiet wars.
William Cooper.
Yeah, and so the deal of it is, you know, for those who are savable, they got to start taking responsibility. Ain't nobody going to save them. They're going to have to save themselves, but they're going to have to change their whole frame of mind, their whole frame of reference, their whole frame of what they do, how they spend their energy, what is left of it. Because as Rome sees them waking up, and if Rome knows the world is waking up, they're accelerating their codes. No, we don't have a lot of time to be guessing. That's my point. We've got to be specific. We got to stop wasting time trying to remember. We got to remember. We got to stop getting in the ring and then start having jab discussions. I'm in the ring now, right? Yeah. What am I supposed to do? Like, am I supposed to hold it like this? Ding. Really, and our people don't know that we're in that situation now. We really are. And the reason they're doing a good job politically to keep our people calm, so they don't know a storm is behind this thing. But those who know the real politics know these people get ready to get slaughtered. You know, they sit around marching and praying and keep hope alive and stuff. I tell you one thing, Jesse and all them got their feds, got their 32 degrees, got their comfortable job. They don't do that black stuff that they talking is bullshit. Excuse my expression, it's true. They don't believe that they're paid agents. Let's cut through the chase. They're paid agents. Let's get over it. Get over it. Stop protecting egos and start protecting these babies. That's my position. They've sacrificed enough generations. So I want you all to study this. But now I want you to go out of that. I want you to go into letter from Pope to Obama. Same file.
Oh man, that was great.
And then I'll make some notes to you and give the children some homework assignments. Because you're going to have to change the whole paradigm. Understand, I'm not trying to interfere with whatever you've been doing. But what frustrates me as I travel this country is looking at the energy that our people waste on mind control, thinking that they're going to solve problems year after year. You watch children grow up and you know they're being fed BS. And it's hurtful. And you know that everybody don't want the truth because they want to do what they've been doing. But they're on a treadmill. You know, we're not into solutions. We're in the struggle. You know, you get your camera and you say, bells. And then you move your camera back and you know somebody roll the screen. People, keep on rolling the screen. People are standing still. The world is moving all around us in reality. And we're stagnant. The only thing that we do is dance good, sing good, rap good, dance good.
like good.
Oh, smoke good. We do a lot of things good, but when it really boils down to it, we ain't got nothing going.
Yeah.
And the children ain't got a chance because we're full of stuff. We haven't said anything for them except images of me with no capacity to produce a damn thing. And how to say Afrocentricity better than we used to. No, it's true. You can't function in the real world. Take these same people, sit them in any nation state in South Asia, in Africa, and in short order they will be rejected as soon as they start that nigger black stuff. By these people who they think want to welcome them with this blackness stuff. And they looking at them like they're traitors. Now, this commentary right here, this is very important for everyone to pay attention to, because this is also a synopsis of the true history. All right? Now, good. Thank you. Thank you. And don't hesitate to take any pieces of this. If anybody wants to do any good to contribute, print some of the stuff off, put it in the communities. You got to take, everybody that comes in these communities knows this stuff when they hit these shores. The only people don't know it is our children, and we sitting around trying to build their esteem with words. Bullshit. We need to educate them for real. They don't even know what's going on. Now pay attention to this and take notes, please. The original and de jure Constitution and government for the United States of America. See that small U? You better know what you're looking at. Having a Republican form of government set forth and established at Article 4, Section 4 stands as the supreme law of the land. The organic constitution was altered by acts of misprision and was secretly overthrown and converted into a foreign, privately owned, and deemed for profit corporation in the year 1871. See Act of Congress 1871. So that's your study. That's your study reference for children. Because you tell this to most people, and the adults will start getting mad. Oh, that ain't Baptist. It becomes serious. That's where they're going with it. And they put that child right back into slavery. That misprision derived foreign federal law entity born of treason was styled as United States Corporation Company, which is now commonly referred to as the U.S. democracy. That foreign and privately owned entity deceptively created by acts of sedition and all its many states of entities or its other licensed and associated corporate franchisees were and are ultimately and factually owned by the Vatican. Being members of the Roman Curia. This politically and socially subdued truth, in fact, is actually the veiled foundation and source of the functioning jurisdictional powers that gave and still gives the Pope of Rome or the Vatican bishopric the colorably valid and affirmable authority over that entity, U.S. democracy, United States Corporation, and also jurisdiction over those subordinate associated entities as expressed and executed via this impacting letter. The letters or edict called Civil Orders was posted on August 19 of 2015, but if the said posting is correct, the measured time before letters were apparently sent to President Obama over a year ago, being July the 4th of 2014. Pope's letter not only confirms that the United States, U.S. is operating under a corporation, but that the Pope's letter also confirms that General Carter Hand will be heading up the new republic when it is announced. The announcement will be part of what is known as the Nisara announcements. This cult is working for light. Anyway, don't waste your time or the political service concerning the U.S. election. I don't expect to see one. This is before the election, but understand even what you thought was an election really wasn't an election. All right? Anyway, so pop that down. And what I want you all to do, we're going to go, you read this in your spare time, we're going to go all the way down to the bottom of it. That same level. And I want you all to read. Oh, go back up a little bit. Just up a little bit. I want you to look at this because I want you to recognize what you're being told about the real politics. Yeah. Wait. Oh, now go back down. Here, right here. See, if required to take field position, the local commander shall make every effort to communicate the basis of their authority and reasons for their presence on American state soil. The political argument amongst people who know politics is separating the United States from the land because they know that is separate. What happens if our babies don't understand? They keep calling the United States the land. They just gave them jurisdiction. What happens when our people keep calling the European white man, they just called him sovereign? Then when he acts like a sovereign, now they're mad at him. If I call you God and you act like God, why should I be mad at you?
When you call him white man, you call him sovereign.
That's what you just called him. Yeah. But they know that our people can't read.
Yes.
This is the key. That's why you got to educate our people. You know, because they've been trained to call the Romans white man, which is a legal status that belonged to Asiatic Africans before European colonial operations. They traded places. And then they made the people think it means skin complexion. Now the children call him the great white father. Then he acts like now they want to march all over the damn place because they're mad because he acts like the great white father. It's true. And then their leaders know it because they're Masons and won't tell them. And help promote that black crap that means that they're slaves.
But perhaps you show me you give this last tidbit so I can go over this other document so that we can get everybody together.
All right. Now, see this next thing? Remember this is a letter to Obama. Now, little brother, what's your name? Brother Isaiah? All right, now we already know you being young, they're not going to tell you this in school, but understand that principle that operates at school already knows this stuff. So we're clear. He's a member of the Roman Curia. And if he's European, he's a Knights Templar, or he's more a Knights of Columbus, more likely. Right? And if he's a brother, he's a Mason, 32 degree. Prince Hall, something like that, whatever. Because he ain't going to be in that position at the end. So this is how you educate your children. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you thought you knew. Let's talk about what's up. No orders, executive or otherwise, issued by Barack H. Obama pretending authority on the land. You must know what that means. Of the American states, while operating as quote-unquote president of the United States Corporation, capital letters, nor as quote-unquote president of the United States of America, minor, or owed any performance by the Joint Chiefs of Staff. What does that mean to you? Yes, but if you were assigned to give me an intelligence analysis on your screen, just these 3 lines down there, you probably give me a page or 2. Put that assignment on yourself. All right? Next paragraph. Mr. Obama is the president, quote unquote, of a governmental services corporation. Do you understand what that's saying? Do you really understand what that's saying? You do?
Service meaning just giving.
Forget the services. Mr. Obama is the president of a governmental services corporation. It's telling you something, but it's telling you something that isn't, that's assumed too. Right. The masses think he's the president of a country. He's the president of a service corporation that's obligated by contract under treaty and constitution to serve the organic states, which is really Morocco under occupation, which is what this United States operation is. But you will be trained in school that he's the country president, which makes you subordinate to the corporation, which is where our slavery is. This is how things can be in people's faces, but they don't know how to do it, so we got to train you. You understand? Because if you can't see, this is why they can put, even though this letter is directed to Obama himself on the Pope, that's because he's under pressure from Manchurians. And also, Obama is Kenyan, and his assignment is to neutralize the Federal Reserve and to expose some of the Moorish history. That's all his assignment was, nothing more. He was prepared before he was ever even in that office, even before he knew he was in that office. We're talking real world politics, not what people think. Are we clear? Think differently. The presidential position of the corporation is about 17 marks down. To the masses, they tell you he's the powerful man. About 17, between 17 and 35 marks down. It's not the real world. It's giving you some of the real world politics to pop. The Pope was telling some of the real history because he's under pressure. Because colonial operations is being ended. Because the ancient Asiatic families have sent out assassins to counter European colonial operations on the planet. And so negotiations are taking place on the planet. Most of these Negro leaders in the North, they already know all sellouts. They ain't looking for them to do anything but march all over the damn place. But world governments are collapsing and we don't have a lot of time. So they need honorable people, people with intelligence to start solving some of the human problems before they start having to mass murder these people to get rid of this nigger problem once and for all off planet Earth. And these people have no idea they're getting ready to get exterminated. People who love them will tell them, people who don't will sit back and watch them and move out the way. Because that's what's it's already in the works. It's already on the boards. Now, the point of it is, we can decide that we want to save some of these generations that are still clean, that ain't contaminated with this niggerism type thing. They're planning to solve this problem because we haven't done it. We've been given 102 years so far, and our track record is kind of poor. In other words, we haven't solved it. And then the few of the Asiatics that woke up, that got some of the keys, the Negro leader guys competing with them got them murdered off. So they're going to start eliminating them guys too. See, so that they don't have chaos in the street. They've been slut-walking these people, but it's getting so bad in the world that they can't keep on doing programs. We're going to either civilize these people or they're going to kill them. Cut and dry, no argument. That's the real truth. Let me put it this way. After the First World War, Treaty of Versailles, Germany could not have a standing army. There were people in Germany that were claiming a dogmatic position as an identity, taking up space, fucking up the economy, had no allegiance, had no honor. World governments got together in secret. They funded this guy called Adolf Hitler. He was a front man. Had nothing to do with bullshit. He was a front man. Came over. What's your nationality? Start talking colors. Bang! Oh, let's get that gold tooth. I'm serious. I'm serious. My cousin, you can't do that to me. Bang, him too. Right? Get that trash out of here. What's your nationality? Russian? No problem. There's a ship. Go home. Belgian? You got some balloons? Start blowing them up. You're gonna be there. Party's over. Oh, get off my mother's breast. Go to your own mom. Nationality and mother in politics is the same thing. In war, beings are expendable. The supreme rule on Earth planet has always been when a nation is in trouble, the supreme law, nationalize. Those who don't want to go home, you send them home. Those who hide, you send them to barbecue parties. They're the barbecue. They heard about nationality, didn't they? Didn't they? They offered them ships. They went to the Falkland Islands. Did they let them off them ships? No, they did not. They went to Britain. Did they let them off them ships? No, they did not. They went to Cuba. Did they let them off them ships? No, they did not. And they threatened, we're going to tell them who they really are. Then they started a war in Canaan. And they even changed the maps of the world. And changed Palestine to what is called ISIS, Amun-Ra, Elohim, Israel. And then they used our star and took Khazarians, who were a subdivision of Rome, U.S. corporation, colonial operations at Morocco, and made a fake nation with some people claiming to be Jews who are not Jews. But they heard about nationality. Fake. But they heard about nationality. But they were only putting off a lie that's coming back up again. If you get the whole point of it, I mean, this stuff ain't settled. Now we got another problem. And it's not a new problem, it's a problem that existed even before the fakers were there. And that is the direct descendants of them real Yahudi, which we call real Jews and Muslims. And they are called Negroes, blacks, and colored folks who don't know their bloodline. They themselves have become dead cultures. They're a problem to the world, now they're a problem to themselves. They've been offered life, and they're being offered death. They don't know that they're doing that. 1913, they were offered to nationalize, protect them. It appears that there are enough agents amongst us that have pretty much neutralized that situation. Some of them woken up, some ain't, and some of the ones that woke up still dirty. So it appears, and I'm just measuring what I could research, because everything is not said. But if you're a scholar and you're a researcher and you gather information and look in the military records, check congressional records, watch different war systems, check with other national governments, things that are said, and then you start putting things together, you can start making some deductions. And here we kill these niggers who don't want to honor their mothers. They're tired of this nigger problem in North America. They've had enough time to clean it up. If they don't want to honor their mothers and fathers, they're going to eliminate the problem because they appear not to be able to get it. And the military operations, you write that down, it's called Executive Order 11490. Write it down. Executive Order 11490, Rex 84, King Alfred. Silent weapons require wars. It's in operation already. AIDS is a military operation. Cancer is a military operation. None of that stuff operates in nature. It was a military operation. Ebola There's another issue that you want to talk about. You'll find in the argument with King John and all this, this is why one of the biological warfare things is called Ebola. Got that name? Yeah, but that's not yet. Yeah, however, that's a name of a woman born that there was another argument about. None of this, everything that you're going to hear has a past. All real politicians, all rulers, do not deal. Rule is this: stay in the present, mirror in the front, and mirror in the back. So anyone that's in any secret society, anyone that's a ruler, anyone that's in politics, they look at things minimally in 3 eyes. There's no such thing as the present without a mathematical calculation of the past. Not on opinion, but on everyday work, on everyday operations. If we don't start teaching our people those rules and start getting them to be responsible, they're done. They're going to solve this problem. And it's uncomfortable, but there's no need for us to keep on acting like this is just an attitude, or that we're going to pray our asses out of this, because it ain't going to happen. You're either going to clean these people up, educate them, re-civilize them, or they're going to make hamburger out of it. And that's for real. They're not going to sit around and debate with them and talk about self-esteem and talk about Afrocentricity and all this stuff. They're going to solve the different problem. Say again? So now the crown, and this is to let you understand, and I'll give you a synopsis real quick of the politics. Abraham Lincoln could not run for president due to fatwa. 1860, Abraham Lincoln was run on the platform in France. The United States Service Corporation that was promised the 19 enumerated powers in Morocco. This is the agreement, which is called the Union. All right? And this is why you see, like when you see on that bill, understand that dollar bill is a contradiction. That is a contradiction. That's not a dollar bill. A dollar is a gold coin, Yakum dollar, or coming from Muslim, old Moorish law, weights and measure in gold, are we clear? Or the same by weights and measure in silver. Are we clear? Now, so a bill is a debt. Are we clear? I want to make that clear. But these things I want you to keep in mind. So Lincoln was run on the United States Service platform. 1860, he recognized almost immediately that the Circle Church operatives were using him. They backed him, but they were using him to undermine the Republic. Are we clear? On that same file, you'll see the secret treaty of Verona, and keep that in mind. All right, so that's in consideration when Lincoln was countering the operatives. So, 1860, he bankrupted the United States Service Corporation platform deliberately. Are we clear? Which put a tag on his back. When you look at the Dungy case, or Lincoln defends Moore, right? Lincoln did that case 1855, 5 years before he was elected to the service contract operations. Are we clear? That put a tag on his back. He did a case with Opus Dei with Charles Chinquet, which put a tag on his back. So Lincoln knew they was going to bump him off already. He did preliminary constructs for the later to manifest Bureau of Refugees, Freedmen and Abandoned Lands, which they tell to the miseducated people is called the Freedmen's Bureau. To the educated people is called the Bureau of Refugees, Freedmen, and Abandoned Lands. This was a counter move by Lincoln to counter the secret Treaty of Verona and the unum sanctum policy that was put in place under colonial operations to occupy the land as opposed to honor the Constitution and to do business at Morocco. Are we clear? So the tag was on his back. He already knew he was going to be done. This is why they modified the Emancipation Proclamation twice in 62, 63 before issuing it. Are we clear? So they killed Lincoln. The plot came to kill Lincoln. So 1861, they didn't kill him yet, but 1861, the Congress adjourned sine die because now it's clear that Lincoln's interfering with the plot to undermine the Republic. And that's instituting the secret Treaty of Verona, Article 1. So the Congress adjourned sine die March the 27th, 1861. It was really a coup d'etat. I'm telling you the real history, and I'm telling you what they present to you. They present to you that the Congress adjourned sine die. Masons, scholars, politicians know it was a coup d'etat. All right? Moorish Americans, or people who know the real history, know it was a coup d'etat. Are we clear? The plot is to put our people in slavery permanently and to steal